Hi everyone, so today we're taking a look at Brothers in Arms 3 on Android. Now this is the latest in the very long running Brothers in Arms series created by Gearbox and published by Gameloft. Previous versions of Brothers in Arms were very much an on-rails shooter. That means you would move from scene to scene, just shooting everything, and then the computer would move you on to the next scene. You had no control, as it were, in the sense of a traditional first-person or third-person shooter. For Brothers in Arms 3, they've very much gone for the full controller experience, which is very much welcome. However, this game is still very much on rails in the sense that each of the missions is very linear. So whilst you now do actually have some control over which bit of cover you jump into, you don't really ever have any true freedom to explore the world and find your own path through it. The graphics certainly are the best we've seen this year, unless you're kind of looking at what's been going on the Nvidia Shield for specific Tegra K1 optimizations. Certainly as a game that is running across a wide range of Android devices, this is a very beautiful looking game, especially when the graphics are turned up full. The lighting model makes the game appear quite beautiful, with lots of well-lit scenes, and the texturing is very good as well, although it's kind of lending itself more to a cel-shaded style of animation than a kind of hyper-real type of texturing that we've kind of seen in other shooters. One thing I found slightly odd though with Brothers in Arms 3 is considering this is meant to be a game which, from the outset, appears to be about the closing days of World War II, it's slightly jarring to see a lack of swastikas actually within the game world. Instead we kind of have this kind of Iron Cross thing going on instead. Now we have to consider some sensibilities here, because for a game that's going to be made available around the world, including in Germany, where there are very specific rules and laws banning anything related to Nazi propaganda, or anything Nazi related for that matter, that it could well be that the developers took the decision to remove the swastikas to allow this game to be seen in as many countries as possible. But it does leave a slightly weird vibe with me that we're almost censoring history a little bit here. For any game that is drawing on historical context, you can't whitewash bits of history, even if that is unpalatable to some. The unpalatable nature of the Nazis is kind of something we have to be reminded of, and in as many ways as possible, because lest we ever forget what those murderous scumbags did. But anyway, that's not really what this review is all about. It was just an interesting thing that the developers had made that decision. It doesn't detract from the gameplay in any way, shape or form. Unfortunately, the in-app purchases detract from the gameplay much more than whether a swastika has been included or not. You see, whilst there's a fun game here, albeit with fairly limited gameplay, the in-app purchases have been layered in such a way that they basically stop you from being able to really progress in the game unless you're upgrading your gun. Because, you know, going into each fight, the first thing a private is checking is his gun powerful enough to shoot the Nazis? Unfortunately, with this particular game, they remind you a lot that no, your gun is not powerful enough, you cannot play this next mission. There's also an overwhelming number of nag screens, including actually during gameplay, not just in between gameplay, but actually halfway through a fight, suddenly you'll get a pop-over trying to force gems on you and other in-game currency. It's a jarring effect, and unfortunately it doesn't lead to me to want to part with money. It makes me want to run away from this game as fast as humanly possible. It really is glue-level abusive in-app purchases. Even Gameloft was starting to dial those back a tiny little bit, but with Brothers in Arms 3 they really have cranked it up to 11 and thrown a hand grenade at it. It does strike me that this is a game which really isn't a game, it's a cash register for Gameloft. It's a real pity because there is flashes of genius here, even if the story is a little ham-fisted. Unfortunately, as mobile titles go, this would have been one of those titles that would have been better as a $2.99 game than something stuffed within app purchases that get actually in the way of the gameplay experience. The other major issue here is everything is dependent on energy. If you want to play a mission, that'll cost you energy. You're only going to have so much energy and you'll have to recharge, or you'll have to put your hand in your pocket. All of this stuff is standard affair we've seen so many times with games with in-app purchases. Unfortunately here, it's just done in such a way that it's just too abusive for my liking. It detracts from some reasonably solid gameplay, and a real pity, unfortunately. If you're just looking for a pick up and play title and you don't intend to pay any money, then do check out Brothers in Arms 3. However, if you were looking for a game you wanted to invest some time into, then this might be one to avoid. It's going to be too heavy on your wallet. Thanks for watching. Don't forget you can pledge $1 a month on Patreon to help support the Androidizen, keeping us 100% independent. An honest opinion direct from the UK. If you pledge $1 a month, you'll be entered into our prize pool to win cool items from our review bag. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. We love to chat.